Now that you have designed Zero Trust Identity using Microsoft Entra ID, you are ready to secure the second backbone of your enterprise Azure blueprint: networking. Identity decides who can request access, but networking decides where they can reach, how traffic flows, and how blast radius is contained when something goes wrong. When your network architecture is intentional, your cloud becomes safer, more predictable, and easier to operate. When it is accidental, the environment becomes a maze of exceptions, hidden exposures, and brittle dependencies that are painful to change. With that transition in place, you need to define network architecture in leadership terms, not cabling terms. Enterprise Azure networking is the design of connectivity, boundaries, and controls that allows workloads to communicate safely across cloud, on-premises environments, and third-party services. It includes how you segment workloads, how you control inbound and outbound traffic, how you integrate name resolution, and how you enforce consistent patterns across many teams. Leaders care because networking is directly tied to incident containment and service continuity. Architects care because networking decisions become long-lived and expensive to reverse. With the definition clear, you now frame hub and spoke as more than a diagram. It is an organizational design choice that balances central control with team autonomy. The hub is where you centralize shared connectivity and shared controls, such as network security enforcement, domain name system services, and connectivity to on-premises environments. The spokes are where workload networks live, aligned to teams, products, or business domains. This pattern reduces duplication, supports consistent governance, and makes network change safer because critical shared components are managed centrally rather than re-implemented differently by every team. With hub and spoke introduced, you now set expectations about when it fits and when it can create friction. Hub and spoke works best when you need consistent connectivity and consistent controls across many workloads, especially in regulated or high-risk environments. It may be less appropriate for small environments with minimal shared connectivity needs, where complexity would exceed benefits. The leadership decision is not about trends. It is about scale, risk, and the cost of inconsistency. Your job is to choose an approach that matches organizational maturity and growth. With the pattern selected, you now clarify what belongs in the hub and why. The hub is typically where you place shared network services that should not be duplicated across spokes, such as traffic inspection capabilities, controlled inbound and outbound pathways, shared domain name system resolution, and connectivity to on-premises networks. Leaders value this because it concentrates critical controls under clear ownership and reduces security gaps. Architects value it because it creates a stable interface. Spokes connect to the hub, and the hub provides consistent services, rather than every spoke creating custom arrangements. With the hub concept clear, you now define spokes in a way that supports accountability and segmentation. A spoke is a workload zone that should have a clear purpose, clear owners, and clear boundaries. You can align spokes to business domains, product teams, or environment separations such as production and non-production. The key is that spokes should not become dumping grounds where unrelated systems share networks simply because it is convenient. When spokes have clear boundaries, you reduce lateral movement risk and make operations easier because ownership is clearer. With hub and spokes understood, you now focus on segmentation because segmentation is the network expression of zero trust. Segmentation is not about creating the maximum number of subnets. It is about controlling which systems can talk to which systems and why. Your segmentation strategy defines trust zones and boundaries based on risk and business criticality. For leaders, segmentation reduces the chance that one compromise becomes an enterprise-wide event. For architects, Segmentation reduces future rework because it prevents everything connected to everything from becoming the default architecture. With segmentation anchored, you now address inbound traffic because this is where many environments become risky without noticing. You design safe entry points, so internet-facing access is deliberate, protected, and monitored. Instead of allowing random direct exposure, you define a controlled pathway for inbound traffic that supports consistent security enforcement and operational visibility. Leaders care because public exposure directly affects reputation and incident risk. Architects care because a consistent inbound pattern simplifies design reviews and reduces exceptions over time. With inbound control, you now turn to outbound traffic because outbound is often ignored until an incident happens. Outbound traffic control is where you reduce data exfiltration risk and prevent workloads from reaching untrusted destinations. You also manage dependency risk, such as preventing uncontrolled access to external services that may introduce supply chain exposure. The leadership value is risk reduction and better compliance posture. The architectural value is predictability, because teams cannot silently create hidden internet dependencies that later become fragile points of failure. With traffic direction in mind, you now focus on routing as a governance tool rather than a technical detail. Routing decisions determine which paths traffic is allowed to take, which inspection points it passes through, and whether spokes can communicate directly or must traverse controlled pathways. Your routing model should align to your segmentation intent and operational needs. Leaders care because routing is how you enforce control at scale. Architects care because routing complexity grows quickly, and unmanaged routing becomes a hidden source of outages and security gaps. With routing framed correctly, you now address east-west traffic, meaning traffic between workloads inside your environment. Many major incidents become major because east-west communication is too open. Your architecture should deliberately control sideways movement between spokes and between subnets, allowing only what is needed for business processes. This is how you reduce blast radius. Leaders understand this as containment. Architects understand this as keeping the platform evolvable, because open east-west connectivity creates invisible dependencies that later block change. With traffic flows understood, you now move to domain name system because many cloud network issues are not caused by routing. They are caused by name resolution. Domain name system design is the invisible backbone of reliability and security because it influences where services are reached and whether private endpoints resolve correctly. Leaders care because domain name system failures look like broad service outages. Architects care because inconsistent domain name system design creates long troubleshooting cycles and inconsistent behavior across environments. With the importance clear, you now define a domain name system strategy that supports both private access and hybrid consistency. You design name resolution so that internal services resolve to internal addresses, private endpoints resolve reliably, and hybrid environments have consistent resolution between cloud and on-premises networks. The leadership outcome is fewer outages and fewer security gaps caused by accidental public resolution. The architectural outcome is stability because teams can adapt private access patterns without constantly debugging name resolution. With domain name system strategy set, you now address address space planning because this is where many organizations create painful future constraints. You design address spaces with growth in mind, avoiding overlap that breaks hybrid connectivity and limiting the need for disruptive renumbering later. Leaders may not care about address ranges, but they do care about the cost and downtime caused by poor early choices. Your role is to make the invisible future cost visible today, so you can prevent it. With address planning in place, You now connect networking to governance by separating environments intentionally. Production and non-production should not share unrestricted network pathways because the risk profiles are different. Non-production environments often have less strict change control and may contain test tools and debugging access that should never touch production. Leaders care because environment mixing increases breach likelihood. Architects care because clean separation reduces accidental impact and makes compliance arguments much easier to defend. With separation clear, you now define network governance because networks drift quickly when rules are informal. Governance means you define standard patterns for hub and spoke connectivity, segmentation, and domain name system integration. Then you enforce them through architecture reviews and controlled exception processes. The aim is not to block teams. The aim is to ensure teams build within a predictable model, so support, security operations, and audits can scale. Leaders value this because it reduces risk and cost. Architects value this because it reduces repeated debates and design churn. With governance established, you now ensure the network architecture can be operated at scale. Supportability means the network is observable, changes are controlled, and incident response has clarity about where traffic flows and where it can be inspected. You design the network so that troubleshooting is fast, not a guessing game. Leaders care because outages and incidents are measured in business impact. Architects care because a network that is hard to operate becomes a constant source of friction and risk acceptance. With supportability in mind, you now bring the architecture to life. Imagine one workload in a spoke is compromised through an application vulnerability. In a weak network design, the attacker moves laterally to other spokes, finds credentials, and escalates. In a strong hub and spoke design with segmentation, controlled routing, and restricted east-west traffic, the compromise is contained. The attacker cannot easily reach other sensitive zones. Outbound access is controlled and investigation is faster because traffic flows follow known patterns. This is how your network architecture changes outcomes. It turns an enterprise crisis into a manageable incident. Let's now discuss the key takeaways from what you learned so far, so you can carry a clear network architecture mindset into your Azure designs. Your Azure networking architecture is a leadership control system that shapes security, reliability, and the organization's ability to scale. Hub and spoke is not just a diagram. It is a model that centralizes shared services and controls in the hub while giving teams clear workload boundaries in spokes. Routing is a governance tool that enforces controlled traffic flows, including inbound, outbound, and east-west movement to reduce blast radius and prevent hidden dependencies. Domain name system design is a critical reliability backbone that enables private resolution and hybrid consistency. Segmentation and environment separation protect production from non-production and limit lateral movement during incidents. And strong network governance makes the architecture repeatable, auditable, and supportable at scale, while still allowing controlled exceptions when business needs demand them. If you want to design Azure networks that scale with control, resilience, and clear accountability, subscribe so you can continue through the rest of this playlist and build the full enterprise architecture step by step. Like this video so more leaders and architects learn modern network principles. Comment with your toughest networking challenge such as segmentation, domain name system integration, or routing control. And share this with your team so you can align on one consistent network blueprint and reduce risk together.